Welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if this is your first time coming across my channel. By name, I'm Diana Alice. I do fashion, faith, and lifestyle based kind of content. So on to today's video, I'm going to create a faith based series or faith talk series with the Alice, as I prefer to call it. So on the faith talk series, we just share a word to encourage our spirit, and just to help us grow also spiritually, because it is good to meditate on the word of the Lord day and night. So on to today's teaching, we are continuing with the prayer and fasting book. I want us to learn about now ideal place to pray. In the previous video that we talked about, when we were reading this book, we shared on the ideal prayer position, ideal prayer posture. So today I want us to learn about the ideal place to pray. So I just read, and then in the parts of the scripture reading, I'll read the one that is quoted here, and then for further understanding, we will read from the Expositor's Study Bible, so that you can really get to understand it. Kabisa. So let us get straight into it. It says, the ideal place to pray depends on the kind of prayers you are making. We have private, secret prayer, personal prayers. We have group prayers that may include family prayers, like say, if you are raised in a Christian home, you can have that evening prayer, those that are being usually held before maybe you have your supper or after supper before you go to sleep. So that is what is talked about here as a family prayers. We have congregational prayers, like the ones in the church, that involves larger groups in public. So the first book we're going to read is Matthew chapter 6 verse 5 to 6, and it says, "And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full." Verse 6 says, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." So before we read the explanation part, I want us to first understand the verse from the Bible Expositor's Bible Study, Matthew chapter 6 verse 5 to 6. So I'll be reading it from here. It is written, Jesus teaching on prayer. "And when you pray," this emphasizes the necessity of prayer, "you shall not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. They do it for show." They just want people to know that they're praying. So, "Verily I say unto you, they have their reward." This means that there will be no reward from God in any capacity. They've already achieved their reward by now being, because those who are praying in that manner are seeking their rewards from men. So they've already received their reward, and now they cannot receive the reward from now God. So, but you, who is a sincere believer, when you pray, enter into your closet, and when you have shut your door, pray to your Father which is in secret, and your Father which sees in secret shall reward you openly. What does that mean? The word closet is not to be taken literally, but that means that our praying must not be done for show. If we make God's interest our own, we are assured that He will make our interest His own. So, by the Bible saying that we go to a closet when you are praying, that is to a sincere believer now who is not seeking to show off to the public that they are praying. Then that means that you have to. It makes let me read it again, that praying must not be done for show, but if we make God's interests our own, like we do it for the sake of God, we take God's interest and make it our own, then we are assured that God himself will make our interest his own. So if he sees that we are doing this for him, then he will make our interests his own. So yeah, we were to read it 5 and 6, so that will just be it. So we can continue, we can come back to the book and see what it has to say. Prayer requires privacy. Prayer should be a secret between God and the one praying or the people praying. Do not pray to be seen by others. Do not pray to impress others. Such prayers will never be answered. Make prayers extremely private. You should make your personal prayers so secretive that even your spouse and close family members would never know about them, even to your dying day. If they ever know, it should be purely accidental. Pray at a place where you are not seen nor heard by others. Small group prayers, which include family prayers, must be known by that group only. It is between them and God. It should be so secret that a non-group member will never know unless by repeatable accident. So that means that after you've made that your prayer, you don't have to now go about telling everyone about whatever it is that you prayed about. Okay? So the next book that we're going to read is John chapter 18, verse 1 to 2. And it says, when he had finished praying, Jesus left with his disciples and crossed the Kidron Valley. On the other side, there was a garden, and he and his disciples went into it. Now Judas, who betrayed him, knew the place, because Jesus had often met there with his disciples. So let us read this one also from the book, from the expositor. We see it in depth. John chapter 18, verse 1 to 2. John 18, 1 to 2 says, when Jesus had spoken these words, is it that one? Yeah. When Jesus had spoken these words, probably refers to everything said in chapters 14 and 17, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron. The brook Cedron, or Kedron in bracket, runs in a deep valley between the Mount Olivet and the city of Jerusalem. That is now where that brook was located. Where was a garden into which he entered and his disciples. They're speaking about Gethsemane. And Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Jesus oftentimes resorted thither with his disciples. In bracket, seems to be where he spent most nights while in the city of Jerusalem. So this was a prayer place for Jesus. Like most of the time, this is where he had gone. He preferred to pray. That is why even Judas, at the time that he wanted to betray Jesus, he knew where to find him. So with that knowledge, Jesus and his disciples had a secret place of prayer. That is why those who arrested Jesus needed Jesus to take them to him. It was a secret place that Jesus often met the disciples. He would have gone to their homes, but that would mean involving other family members in their prayers. This place was ideal because it was secret enough. You see the point that the writer is trying to bring. Like, this place was so secret that only Jesus and the disciples went there. Like, it was just between them. Just the same way we were speaking about having a family prayers. When you're praying, whatever it is that you're praying should just be between you, your family, and God alone. It shouldn't get out of that place, so that when we are reading John 18:1-2, we're also learning of this garden, Gethsemane, or the one that was in Kidron, next to Kidron Valley. Like Jesus and his disciples regularly went there. That was their secret place of prayer. And these other people didn't know about it. That is why when they wanted to get Jesus now, they had to use one of these people who knew where that secret place was. So let us read before I give more light and shed more light into it. Secrecy in prayer helps us focus on God and our needs. Secrecy in prayer makes the prayers genuine because there is no one to impress. The place of prayer must allow this kind of secrecy in prayer. When secrecy is unavoidable, like in public congregational meetings, prayer is still welcome. However, there is agenda that we can't bring in prayer in a public place, especially when you want to make a prayer of confession. Sometimes it can be hard when you are in a public place or where there are a lot of people. So you having a secret place will give you that safe space to speak to God, like to tell God how things are, those things that you wouldn't rather just tell to speak it out loudly because you don't want to be judged by others. But you know, when you're in the presence of God, you know God will not judge you because he loves it when you just tell him things as it is. So that is one of the advantages of having a secret place of prayer, where it is just you and God. You speak it, like you say everything. So our faith grows stronger if we can sustain secret prayer. Hypocrites are completely unable to even start a secret prayer life. Hypocrites live by impressing others. A secret prayer life goes against everything a hypocrite stands for. To kill hypocrisy, have a secret, consistent prayer life. If you are unable to have a secret prayer life, you are a hypocrite and you need to pray about it. If you can't have a secret prayer life, know that you are an hypocrite and you need to pray about it. Because that means there is a way, you might not even know it, but you have that thing of you wanting to impress people through prayers. Maybe you want people to know that you know all the other names of God, you know to quote Bible verses when you're praying, you know. So don't be carried away by those things. Practice on your own. By us doing this, it's not discouraging like public prayers. That is also good, because even as you're doing that, you don't know, you might be even teaching someone who probably doesn't even know how to pray, you know. But don't make it that is the only time you pray. Also, like, learn to have somewhere that you can also pray, that no one listens to you, no one gets to hear how you talk to God, how you relate with him and everything, you know. So that will also help you not to be someone who wants to impress people when you're praying. So Matthew 26:36-39, then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." Secrecy dictates the place that is ideal for prayer. Secrecy dictates the place that is ideal for prayer. That is why Jesus took his disciples to the Garden of Gethsemane at night. That is why Jesus separated 3 disciples from the others. And that is why Jesus went further ahead from the 3 disciples. It was all dictated by the need for secrecy. So, that will just be the end of that part, but there are some parts I want to highlight from just that scripture that you've read. So we are seeing Jesus taking all of the disciples. At that point, only Judas was missing, because that is the night that, if I'm not wrong, Judas comes to betray Jesus. So he's taken the disciples to the secret place of prayer. Okay, and then they're there, right? They're in that garden, the Garden of Gethsemane, and then he goes ahead and leaves these other ones and takes 3 with him. Like, there's an isolation that has been created there. They're already in that secret place of prayer. He's isolating 3 from these other ones, or setting as part aside the 3, and then he puts these 3 here, asks them to watch and pray for him. The same thing he told the other ones also, to watch and pray. And then he leaves these other 3 and goes ahead to pray on by himself, So if God, Jesus is like, not like, Jesus is God in human form. He separated himself even from these ones. So I believe he just didn't do this for us to read and be like, okay, this and this, but he did this so that we who he came to give us an example of how he wants us to do life can learn a thing or two from this. Like, it's trying, me, from how I'm seeing it, God is trying to stress that importance of just going to God alone. Like, yes, you need the prayers of others, the way he told these 3 to pray for him, but you also need to go there. Like, you need to have that place of just you and God, like just you and God, So I think for the take, or something that I'd stress for us to take from today's lesson, is that having a secret place of prayer is very crucial in a believer's life. Like, you need a place where you can communicate with God. It doesn't have to be like a special room where you just built at your meeting with your God. No, it needs to be just a peaceful or quiet place, away from every other noise, every other person. It could be even under a tree. Like, say you are someone who lives in the countryside like me, it could be even under a specific tree, and we're like, just like, okay, in the evening, I know everyone is, or whatever time, everyone is about their business, and you can just be there and you are God. Like, just speak to God, you pour out your heart, you pray and everything. It could be in your room, you just lock yourself, say maybe at night after everyone has slept, you just speak to God. Or when you're alone in the house, when you get that time, do it. It can be even in the pantry room, like, it can't be anywhere, any quiet place. Just talk to God. There's no space, even here, like, there is no specific room that has been said now that it has to be in the kitchen, it has to be in your bedroom, it has to be in where. No, it just has to be a place where you intentionally say, this is my meeting place with God, so that when you're in any kind of trouble, you go there, because you in your head, that this is where you meet with your God. Yeah, when you have some good news that maybe God has done for you and want to thank him, you go to that place and you're like, God, when I prayed for this here, you heard me, you answered it, and I'm here to say thank you. So yeah, I'd challenge someone who is here to have such a place. Like, do have one, seek it prayerfully, let God guide you, so that you can find that place where you can meet with him. So yeah, that will just be to the end of today's teaching, or the word that I'd love for us to share. I pray that it draws us a step closer to God, and yeah, it just blesses our life, so that we know, how do I put it, we know that God can meet you anywhere. So this is your call to create room for God in your life intentionally. Like, be intentional with it, and see God coming to you to meet you in that place. I think Jacob also did that. There's a place where when he had run away from home, when the brother was seeking to kill him after he had stolen, sorry, the birthright of the brother, and the brother knew everything that had happened. He had to run, but then he reached a place where he built an altar for God, and it was like, this is where I want to be meeting God. I don't know if you just place stones like a place of remembrance with God, but those things tells us how important it is to have just a place where you can meet God. Even because after he had labored for 14 years, I think over 14 years back at Laban's place, when he was coming back, he remembered to stop at that place also. So that just tells you the importance of having those places where you can meet with God. So if you do that, God will meet you in that place. I can guarantee you that. Just do it prayerfully, God will meet you in that place. So that will be the end of this. I pray you have a beautiful week, a blessed day. God's favor be upon you, his blessings, his peace be with you, and yeah, remember to share the love of God everywhere that you go, and seek his face day and night. Okay, so see you, have a lovely day, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.